Hello and welcome to another episode of the Full Force Weekly, brought to you by Generals Joe's REBORN.com with me as your host, Christopher McLeod AKA Diagnostik80. For today's episode, I'm joined by the awesome Patrick Notpicard Stewart. In this regular video series, we round up all the week's news in the world of G.I. Joe. What is it, Pat?
It's the Full Force Weekly.
Yes, it is. Do you know what's really funny is I can see Pat when he can't see me before we go live, and when I put the video on and the music starts going, I can see Pat's head nodding like that, and then I start doing it, and then all of a sudden we're on, and yeah, it's amazing. Anyway, how are you doing, my good man?
Doing okay. You know, it's life's rough sometimes, but I'm holding in.
Well, we're here for you, pal. We'll help you get through today. Anyway, everyone's happy you're back because I was on a unboxing this morning for, have I put it away? I have, for the Crimson Alley Viper. And everyone was saying, is Pat going to be on the weekly this week? And I'm like, yeah, he is.
That's so nice.
So yeah, there you are. There he is. See? Anyway, there he is. Cool. Oh, show us your shirt. That's pretty awesome.
Oh, this thing's awesome. And available online now that they've done their inventory. Cold
Link
Slither.
in the description.
And it has Tordate. Can you see the Tordate?
Yes. Brilliant.
Yeah, they're all, you know, fun little nods. Like they put Volcucu plant in there.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
Lots of fun stuff.
That's great, actually, as one of the destinations. That's wicked.
Yeah.
I bet there's like 12 Springfields on there, isn't there?
Oh, there's like Melville is in there. There's a bunch of stuff in
nice.
there. Nods to things that if you get them, you get them. If not, then look more into it because it's fun.
Just Google it. Yeah. Loads of people in the chat already. Hello, guys. Hope everyone's having a great Friday so far at 1 p.m. EST on the East Coast. Obviously, it's going to be earlier in some places and later in some places. That's how time works. Right then. I mean, it's the same time. We're in the same time, like, arena,
yeah,
but not in the same time zone.
Yeah, that's what I always wondered. If you made a time machine and then you went to a different time zone, would you have to account for it?
Of course. I suppose that's why you have location and time when you do. Is it?
Well, and your location's going to have to be right because with the Earth traveling around the sun, that means that the time machine DeLorean also has to travel through space. Like it has to.
Yeah. Should we just say it's not going to happen? Yeah, let's just say it's not going to happen. Mark says it's 1806 here, the distant future. Yeah, there you go. Not 1806 the year, I hope, Mark. You know.
Maybe he's talking to the distant future, and he was actually in 1806. He constructed himself the internet and sent us a message.
Well, thank you, Mark, for doing that. That's hardcore, mate. All the way from 1806. Incredible stuff. Anyway, Leon says, I've already watched this live stream. It's pretty good. Amazing. You're all very funny. Right. Actually, loads to talk about this week, Pat. Like, absolutely. And well, I did 2 hours last week, but still, loads to talk about this week.
Is there really?
Really? Trust me,
okay.
There is. We've got comics news. We've got concept art news, which I still haven't got over. The find that we kind of pulled out of the bag. Yeah. We've got classified news. We've got Super 7 news. We've got all sorts of news. We've got swimming in news. It might not feel like a busy week, but there's definitely a lot to get stuck into. And it's been great for comics, definitely. But let's start though with something that kind of dropped shortly after I'd done the last weekly, and that is in collaborative news. And I'm not ready to press the video button yet, but I am now. Thanks to listing savant JT Prime 17, we have yet another leaked listing to discuss. Yep, it's another Transformers X G.I. Joe collaborative project titled G-Wiz F9941 for those taking note of the product number for their spreadsheets. I see you, homies. Now, we were tipped off by the Sarge himself about this collab during a con in January earlier this year. He let slip that Hasbro were doing a Triple T crossover set with him as a figure. Well, it would appear as though that was exactly the case, and now we have even more information about it. The listing states that it is Sergeant Cup as the Triple T with Sergeant Slaughter and Leatherneck. This is awesome. Starting with the choice of character, I think Cup is a perfect choice here, and one that we had suggested as a good option when the news broke back in January. The shape of the vehicle mode for Cup even has that similar vibe as the Triple T, and he is a sergeant himself. The old grizzled war hero just makes the most sense, and clearly Hasbro thought that as well. Now, as for the inclusion of two figures, this just carries on from the Soundwave Thunder Machine having both Zartan and Zarana in the set, and heavily homages the original Triple T box art, which saw both characters on the vehicle. Not only is it a great homage, but it also gives us another O-ring figure in Leatherneck that we haven't seen in a very long time. Plus he's basically Joe Legend Ron Rudat, which is another awesome level to this edition. It will be interesting to see how they approach the colour difference between Cup and the Triple T here. I'm expecting more of a Bumblebee situation where the vehicle white takes over more of the Cup teal and green, but it will be cool to see how he looks when all is said and done. I expect Cup to be a touch larger than Bumblebee, but shorter than Megatron, but you never know how that engineering is going to translate when the vehicle mode has to be a certain size to match the original. Either way, I am stoked as heck to see this bad boy, and cannot wait to see the finished product with, I would imagine, dope as hell packaging art, etc.
Yes! This is a really exciting one, I think. Like, since the collabs have kicked off, it's nice to be getting something, I say early in the line, it's like the fourth release, and they don't do them a lot, but we've had like this will be the fourth one. It's good to see they're dipping into some quite obscure areas, even though the Sarge, you could argue is still pretty iconic.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, he is an icon. He was one of the ones that I was kind of hoping that we would see. It's like the O-ring half of this is kind of a little bit bittersweet at this point, because it seems like the rest of the O-ring stuff isn't happening, but it's nice that the Transformers are keeping it around. I did kind of always feel that this line probably should have been, new 4-inch G.I. Joes coming with the new Transformers figures, but I'm not complaining about getting O-rings. I do kind of wonder how they're going to handle, because one of the topics of conversation all the time with the new O-ring figures is the engineering and how that is handled. I don't think that we've gotten a ball neck yet, have we? One of the ones that can do this?
I don't think we have. What have we got so far? We've got Baroness, we've got Stalker, we've got Duke, Cobra Commander, the Trooper, the Officer, Snake Eyes, and Storm Shadow, right?
Yeah, they're all left to right neck. So I'll be curious to see how the engineering is handled here for Leatherneck.
Leatherneck, I like it. Like this, is that a pun? Yeah.
No, that's just the name. So I wasn't really thinking about that.
Yeah, they'll both have that, won't they? Because the Sarge was a Wibbler.
You know what? Yeah, that's right. I don't know why I'm not really thinking about the fact that the Sarge is that way as well.
I'm excited for the Sarge again as well. It's nice that we're still getting Sarge stuff.
It is, and that I kind of was worried about whenever you and I had first heard about this. I thought, well, they probably need to get it out at the right time, because I know contractually that can be hard to get the figures out.
A lot of people are saying Zarana will be the first test. She should be born, right?
Yes, that's a good point. So we will see how she is whenever she arrives.
Thank you, Tim. And Mark as well. Mark was saying the Thunder Machine is on its way, so you will see ball necks then. Yes, the Thunder Machine is on its way.
One ball neck.
It is on its way. I was going to talk about the end, so I'll talk about it at the end. But the Thunder Machine Soundwave is on its way. Right. There are more things to talk about with this one. Let's talk about the vehicle mode. How perfect is this? Because I remember when the Sarge leaked that the Triple T was going to be included with a collab, he didn't say anything about what character was going to be associated. And we threw out a few names. Cup was definitely one. I think Cup actually was the one that was at the top of the list for me personally. Ironhide was thrown out there.
I was going to say Cup and Ironhide seem to be the front runners.
I think Brawn was brought up a few times as well in the comments. Like a little stocky lad, that could make sense. Was Cup your front runner?
No, I was for some reason thinking that Ironhide would make sense. I'm kind of surprised that they went with an 86 character, to be honest. I kind of expected them to stick straight with 84 as long as they pretty much could.
Yeah.
Right? We've gotten Optimus Prime, Megatron, Bumblebee, and now Cup, right?
Well,
and Soundwave.
Soundwave, yeah. No Prime yet, but there is a cheeky.
Yeah. Why did I say Optimus Prime? I don't know what I'm thinking.
That's
not an accidental reveal. We don't know anything about Prime.
There's just a cheeky rumor.
How is there not an Optimus Prime yet?
That's the thing in it. What we 4 in now? Like you'd think like Optimus Prime would be soon, but then again, he's massive.
Yeah, right. And I kind of want, like, part of me just feels like they should have done this as an Optimus Prime HasLab, and not done it as a G.I. Joe vehicle. Just done it as Optimus Prime, but G.I. Joe's fitting him.
That'd be wicked, though. That would be so cool, actually. All in the trailer and everything.
Exactly. That's why it would need to be a HasLab, because
you'd have to
could do that as a release without the trailer, but with the trailer,
you'd have to have, the robot thing that comes out. You'd have to fit a figure in there, mate.
Yeah, exactly. And there's 2 stations, and you could have some other details in there. That'd be crazy. That'd be a wild G.I. Joe playset.
You could double it as like an HQ. Yeah, it could be like it could be Prime carrying the friggin' G.I. Joe headquarters.
Oh yeah, that's true. You could have.
And then you know how it folds out
HQ.
And then like follow me on this, right? You know how it folds out like that?
Yeah.
Then the sides could do that, and you'd have almost like a T shape, kind of similar to the HQ, you know?
Yeah. I see what you're saying. Yeah, there would be a way of working that out. A lot of times, I think the mass of things is what they have to figure out. And with a triple T, like underneath that thing, it's just really hollow. So it made a lot of sense to me even to turn that into a transformer, because there's going to be a lot of mass that you can fit in there. And yeah, I do agree with what you said in the video. It's going to be looking like the triple T in vehicle mode. And then whenever it transforms into Cup, that's whenever the colors of Cup will come out.
Yeah, I could kind of imagine the head obviously being the teal and green, maybe like the interior, the arms and the legs and everything and the waist. And then obviously you could see the white, I can kind of envision it where you'd have like the white chest and like shoulder pieces and stuff like that. I just think I think this one's going to look really awesome. Honestly, I'm quite excited for this one. And of course, Leatherneck and Sarge included in this because of the box art. I mean, it's nice little nod that they're doing that. And do you think it's the right choice, or would you have done something different here?
Honestly, I'm just happy that they're doing 2 figures. There is just the option of just not including a second figure at all. And
true.
I don't think that anyone would really feel like there was anything absent if they did that. Now that they've set that bar, though, it is nice that with some of these Transformers, we're getting not just one O-ring figure, but a second one. Because I still, I'm never going to stop hoping that we can revisit those O-ring figures and do something more interesting with them. Because I don't really think that Leatherneck is a particularly difficult figure to get of the vintage line, and really neither is Sarge. But whenever they announced O-rings, it was my hope that we would get some introductory ones, and then we could finally get to some of those repaints and stuff that wasn't made before. But that seems so far off the table right now that it makes me sad.
I will say that, with Leatherneck specifically, it's not like he's been reissued up the wazoo. Like at least there's that. At least it's kind of like it feels like a fresh inclusion in a weird way, like a nice, kind of a nice figure to do. Plus, the Ron Rudat connection, I think, swings it for me as well. Like it feels like a very iconic set in that it's got, the heart of Leatherneck. Effectively, the head sculpt is Ron Rudat.
Yeah.
The card art has got Ron's likeness on it as well. The Sarge obviously very iconic. So there's a lot of iconography for the G.I. Joe brand in this set, even if it doesn't quite strike you immediately. Because the Triple T, it's well known because it was in the movie. It was in the Arise Spencer Arise. I think it was in the movie as well, wasn't it? I want to say, it was, because he drives. They pick Falcon up. Well, they don't pick Falcon up. They meet Falcon, and they bugger off, don't they? So, it's definitely been seen by a larger group of people based on that. But I would say that it's definitely still down there a little bit more on the. I wouldn't have expected them to do that vehicle.
Right. It does really look like the nice part of, I guess from an O-ring perspective, the nice thing is, and even from the vehicle, it's nice to see them doing things that don't necessarily have repaint potential in some ways.
Yeah.
Because it does seem like a lot of times whenever something is just a smaller line, it's kind of locked into that zone where you have to make the things that can be made in multiple colors. And that so far, that's really not what they've been doing. I was expecting to get like Megatron in red.
Yeah.
I was totally expecting them to do that. And it just doesn't seem like that's going to happen.
No. I think you got a good point there. I think everyone expected repaints out of the gate with even with Bumblebee and having like, like that Arashikage Black or Striker or the Eco Striker or so on and so forth. But you're right, like it doesn't seem to be on the horizon necessarily, at least not in the near future. And I think one of the things is because these sets are so like sparse and spread out, they can just do them within the budget they have for the line. Maybe they can do them quite unique to that particular set and then just release as is. So I don't know, it's interesting to see if they do actually come back and do do we get like a Marauders Sarge, which a lot of people have been asking in the comments. Do we get like some sort of Marauders vehicle as well, like to go with him? That would be kind of cool.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, if this was purely just an O-ring line, I would love to have the Triple T in Marauders colors. That would be amazing.
That'd be kind of fun, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, but to also then have that as a Transformer is just not necessary. And if it's going to be Cup, I guess you could do a different deco of Cup, like the younger version of him, or
just change the head.
Yeah, and there's some color differences, I think, sometimes. Isn't there in the Chaos episode where there's the younger version of Cup that is shown?
I think so.
And a lot of times Cup is just repainted into Orion packs, but we don't need that in the G.I. Joe crossover line. I'm happy that they're willing to spend the money to make something that's just going to be unique.
Yeah, definitely, man. Well, that's the Sarge Leatherneck Cup and the Triple T collab. No official information, yet. Obviously, just the listing that JT Prime 17 kind of revealed very recently. I think it was literally last weekend. So, very exciting. And of course, we knew it was coming thanks to the Sarge. Right. I think we should just be asking him these questions all the time, the Sarge. Get him on the show and say, right, what figures are you doing, buddy? List them out one after the other. Amazing stuff. Rachel said, I won't mind a Beachcomber Eco Striker crossover. That's a good shout, Rachel. Yep. Yeah,
that's true. There are some of them where it's a shame that they're not doing it. I think that's probably the best of them. Like, yeah, they could do a red his tank, but it just feels like Beachcomber and the Eco Striker are perfect.
Yeah.
So that one I would really like to see happen.
I can see that happening. I really could. That would be kind of fun to do as well, actually. The colors would be awesome. One of the things I would say is that I want, like, you kind of wonder their choices. I've actually reached out to BMAC, by the way. We're going to hopefully get him on the show very soon. I hope next week to talk to BMAC about, because obviously with the Thunder Machine shipping, we want to kind of get him on and talk about the line in general, ask him some cool questions about the design process and their decision-making process and all that kind of good stuff. Hopefully we'll better get a bit more insight into the line a little bit, because it's one of those things where we only really hear about it when they do an event, and it's not like they don't go into great detail with all of the decisions and everything. It's all very kind of superficial on the surface. So hopefully BMAC can give us a bit more info on that. So yeah, that should be kind of fun. So fingers crossed we get that sorted next week. Anyway, moving on, Pat, we do have more things to talk about. Now, this week has been pretty big in G.I. Joe comics news. And we haven't been doing comics bursts for a while. That's something we're going to be working out once I get in a position to, get more bandwidth to do that. But in the meantime, let's talk about comics.
It was a great week for G.I. Joe comic fans as the first issue of Skybound's A Real American Hero 301 came out. We also had a director's cut of issue 1 hit stands the same day that gave us the original Larry Hama cut of that first iconic issue. But what did we think of them? Let's find out.
Well, technically, it's going to be what did I think of them, because Pat hasn't had the opportunity, unfortunately, to read 301 because he hasn't read 150-6 or 155.5. Have you read that one yet?
No.
So you got to do 155.5. There's another. I've just added another issue.
Yeah, you just added. You keep on adding more. Yeah, it's not that I don't appreciate it. It's the fact that honestly, the availability of comics around me has been difficult. I had a pull list going all the way back in the, prior to IDW.
In the 1940s,
I had a pull list of all of my GI. Well, it'll make more sense of all my GI Joe and Transformers comics. I was like, just pull all of those, and that's multiple comics a month. It's not like I'm buying 20 or 30 books.
Yeah.
But every time I would show up to that comic shop, and it was the only one in the area for me, the guy would not have pulled them, and if it was a hot title that month, I just didn't get it, and that's frustrating.
Yeah.
So it kind of made it so that I became a little bit lazy about showing up, because I knew that if it was good, it wasn't going to be there anyway.
Yeah.
And I was probably going to have to pull the books off the shelf. So you're pretty much in back issues state. And then that surprise, surprise, that comic book shop had to shut down. They weren't pulling comics pretty much for anybody unless you were buying 30 or more books a month.
That's crazy.
It wasn't good. And then there was no comic shop around. I don't really like buying the digital comics. I'd rather have the physical print copy, and then you're paying shipping on top of it. It's just been a pain in the butt to get comics where I am.
I generally like it's obviously quite an interesting thing, isn't it? Because I had a similar problem when I was in the UK. I had a local comics store. They were great, and they would get me the comics in and everything and all that kind of good stuff. Then I moved away from that area. And so it became obviously very difficult to kind of do, and I don't mean to the US, I mean in the UK, and it became difficult to kind of keep up, with them. And when you keep moving around. We lived in Missouri for a little while. We had a comic store there. Shout out to Distant Planet Comics and Collectibles, and they were great as well. But then we moved away to the point where the other side of the country, and it just gets to the point where you miss issues, and then it's difficult to catch up. I kind of kept on top of it, on the digital kind of side of things, because I ended up having to just go, okay, I'm just going to have to do this digital. I can't, keep up with the physical, but I much prefer the physical copies in hand. I much prefer reading them that way. It's all well and good on your phone and everything, or whatever, your tablet or your laptop, but it's just not the same. And you don't have the same, I don't know, it doesn't have the same feeling. And so I get it that it's a struggling industry anyway, comics, but it's been so hard to get hold of just one frigging comic. If I remember going to a couple of stores, and they were just before we got on the one that we were in, and it was just we can't get that, and we can't get this, and we can't do that one, and we can't, and it was just what's the point? And I didn't have that problem with Distant Planet. They were great. But they couldn't get specific covers. So, there'd be one cover that I really wanted. For example, Jamie Sullivan's awesome Ace looking from above of the Sky Striker. You can see Ace, and then you can see the Night Ravens underneath, further down, and then the map of the Earth below. Beautiful cover. One of my favorite comic covers of all time, actually. Shout out to Jamie Sullivan. But that trying to get hold of that was just forget it. Never got the cover in the end. Never got that particular cover that I love. But he did send me a print, and so I really appreciate that, Jamie. That's awesome. But yeah, could never get the issue. It was sucked. So yeah, it's one thing being it's a struggling industry, but it's also we can't get the bloody comics unless we're getting it digitally, which and not everyone wants to do that. So it just feels like a little bit of an impossible mission sometimes, doesn't it?
Yeah, I kind of feel like the world got difficult for people who are actually reading comics in the 90s, whenever everything went to nicer paper, and at some point subscriptions stopped. I would be thrilled if I had the surprise in my mailbox of a G.I. Joe comic book, you know, because having to travel, because I could go to a comic shop. There's one about 45 minutes in a direction that I never travel. But to do that every single month, or to expect them to hold them for multiple months, neither of those is really all that realistic. If it could just show up in my mailbox, it doesn't have to be printed on the nice paper it is. I just want to read the story, look at the nice art, and enjoy the comic. I don't necessarily have to make sure that my corners aren't bent, or there isn't a subscription crease, or any of the things that people worry about that has caused everybody to go to comic shops, that has then caused like the economy of comics to be weird. I don't know. I'm complaining about things that don't actually have to do with the issue number 301, which I really want to. I do want to read it, and I did want to go out and buy it that day, but then I got busy. And, you know, that's the other thing, is what happens when I'm busy. When are the day the things hit the stand, and I can't travel 45 minutes in the, you know, dedicate the day to just going somewhere 45 minutes that way and back. It's hard.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that one, mate. Simon, it's a good point, mate. I used to have a horrendous time getting Marvel: A Real American Hero in the UK when I was younger. My local comic shop was crap and never pulled the issue for me even when I asked. That's interesting, Simon, because I could never find the Marvel: A Real American Hero in the UK. And I remember very clearly going to a store in Norwich once that I don't think exists anymore. Norwich is my kind of hometown city sort of thing. Close to the city to where I grew up, and in Norfolk. And basically, we went there and we would get, like, you know, you get all your Marvel issues, you get all the ones you could get. And I'd asked multiple times if they could get G.I. Joe, and it was just not a chance. So I had the same problem as you did, Simon, on that one. It was really difficult getting it.
Highly articulated, asks a good question. I think that is something that exists now, but I'm so out of touch with comics because of the length of time where that didn't exist.
Yeah.
The subscription service didn't exist, that I really don't know what one to go with, or how good it is, or how reliable it is. Nobody
I'm pretty
gives
sure
a
everything. I'm pretty sure
Everybody
everything
just
now
goes to comic shops now.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure everything literally goes through local comic book stores. I think that's
I think
it.
you can get them by mail, but you know, then you can get them by mail.
Yeah, through local comic book stores. Like, they'll mail them to
you.
you.
They'll mail it to you? I think that there's an online service where they mail them, though, too, isn't there?
Yeah, I'm sure there is. I'm like absolutely sure there is.
Maybe I should look into it more and be more proactive, but
again,
it's been hard.
It's also more money. And that's the other thing you've got to kind of take into consideration. But anyway, let's talk. We'll talk about issue 1 first. So this was the kind of Larry Hama cut of the first issue. Now, he even posted on Facebook to kind of thank Skybound for allowing him to kind of rectify something that had been bothering him for many, many years. And that was the putting the original kind of scripted prose into Hawk's speech. And in that particular, I've got both kind of panels on show here. The top one is from the original. We're soldiers. Our job is to follow orders, to do the impossible and make it look easy. And from the new issue, sorry about the quality of the image, it's the best one I could find. We're soldiers. Our job is to do the unthinkable and be forgotten. So Larry finally got to kind of rectify that thing that had been bothering him for a long time. And he even, like, you know, posted on his Facebook page and his socials to thank Skybound for allowing him to do that. And Pat, you mentioned something quite good when we were talking off camera about that, kind of building a nice relationship between the two of them from day one. Yeah,
I think that this, you know, allowing him to go back and fix things like this, I think is a nice way of them. It's just a good way of honoring somebody who's put so much out there and been such a big part of the brand, like allowing him to get what his original vision was for things. Yeah, I can't imagine a better way to build a good creative relationship.
Yeah.
With him. And
has he really done that much for the brand, though? I mean, like, do you really count creating all the characters?
All the characters.
Do you really count that, though? I'm joking. I am joking.
Yeah,
That's going to be chopped up.
I wonder if he. I wonder how many other issues he has, like panels like this that still stick in his head.
I thought you meant how many issues does, like how many personal issues does he have, not like how many comic issues.
How many comic issues? Because obviously there's going to be a market to put #1 out there again.
Yeah.
But not necessarily every single issue that he may have wanted to go one way and it went another.
Yeah.
So I wonder how many of them could they actually get out as a Larry Hama version.
No, I think that's a good point. Like, how many more issues could we have little changes made in? And I wonder how long they take. Because obviously, one gets released every 5 minutes. Issue 1. Every time, I think IDW released it multiple times actually. And there was, I feel like there was one on Free Comic Book Day once as well. Like, I don't
remember that.
I feel like issue 1 has been done. Or no, it was on Free Comic Book Day, but it wasn't a free comic book. It was like a anniversary edition or something, and had a border on it and everything. But like there have been so many. But yeah, it's nice that we get one. Yeah, with this kind of like, this is kind of a bit of a collector's item now as well, straight away. So yeah, that's awesome. Anyway, 301. Let's talk about that, because obviously this is Larry's kind of continuation of the A Real American Hero storyline for Skybound going out of IDW. Now, I'm not going to do, there are no spoilers in this. I'm just going to talk about my personal reaction and feeling to the actual issue. And then we'll probably do more spoilerific stuff with Mark Seddon in the future. Mark, see if we can get Tim on as well, get the whole Talking Joe crew involved on that one. But yeah, I think this is, I think right straight away, I was very excited when I saw the kind of art style, when we saw the what's it called, the preview quite a while ago now, probably over a month, maybe even a couple of months ago now. And it just looked, I thought it looked really rich and interesting, and I liked that there was like not a gimmick as such, but like, how sometimes it's just panel to panel to panel to panel, and it's just like, okay, yeah, you're reading a comic. I like it when there's a little bit more kind of thought and creativity put into the layout and the design and how it kind of fits with what the story that's being told. And obviously, from what a lot of you have probably seen in the preview without seeing the actual issue, minor spoilers ahead, then you've got like some really nice layout going on with the kind of ticking time bomb situation that's going on in the background and what's happening in the different areas of while that time is ticking down. So I really like that there was a nice. And have you seen the preview at all, Pat?
I think that it was on at one point. Didn't we have it on the weekly a while ago? I have seen it. Yeah. Okay.
But it's a really nice like pacing of everything that's going on, but the artwork, I've got to say, is phenomenal. It looks really, really, really beautiful. And that's so it's Mooneyham with the art, isn't it? I believe.
I have no idea. Like,
I believe it is, but it's just and is it Francesco? I forget the art. I've completely forgotten the creative team on the issue. Typical maneuver that always happens when I'm live, and I do know it because I read it multiple times just to make sure. And then I'm like, oh, okay, put on the spot. I can't think of anything now.
Well, you're on the spot totally, because I haven't read it and I don't have it. So I'm just going to leave it all up to you.
Yeah, no, it's totally fine. Just leave me out here to die. Yes, Chris Mooneyham and Andy Kubert did the cover. Who else is involved in this then? Because I'm sure there's another name. Someone let me know. It's probably written on there. It's literally written there. It's Francesco. I can't see the surname. Anyway, it's incredible artwork. Absolutely beautiful. And also, like, one thing I would say about the previous A Real American Hero issues. Yeah, I think it is. One of the things I will mention about the previous issues with A Real American Hero, I was getting to the point where I want to say, like, the coloring was just a little too, I don't know. I'm not sure if it like went too well with what was being done with the art and the inks and everything. So it didn't jive as well for me. But like going into this new issue, I just love the style. I love the colors. I love it just everything about it was like speaking to me. Now I will say one thing. it's kind of getting to the point, you know, like obviously you're coming from one story at the end of 300 going into this issue. So there's that thing of like, you know, you have to kind of know what's been going on previously to know what's going on now. And also it does go in a direction I was not expecting, and then does hit a very interesting twist, which will bring in a very, I would think, very cool and interesting storyline going forward that I don't think we've really seen in A Real American Hero in the past. And obviously it's going to be difficult for Pat to respond to this, but I think you know what I'm talking about. Now, obviously, I'm not talking about the other kind of spoiler. There is a death in this issue, and I won't say who it is, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the other kind of twist that happens that you kind of, like, obviously you can see coming because they talk about it all the way through, and then it happens and you're like, oh. So yeah, it kind of ties into lots of different aspects of the brand, and kind of makes you wonder about some inclusions in the classified series. And again, I'm keeping it very broad and vague just to really confuse Pat and to kind of wink and nod all the people in the comments that have read it, sorry. So yes, that is, and so overall, I'm going to give this one like an 8.5 out of 10 for the strength of the artwork, the really beautiful layouts and the coloring. Everything about the visual aspect of this is really good and appealing to me. Also high up there in, you know, the transition was always going to be a difficult one, but I think they did it well. And I think it's kind of, and also the twist at the end brings up as well, because I thought that was really interesting and cool too. So I'm going to go for 8.5. Forget it, 9 out of 10. None of this 8.5 bull crap. The only thing I'm going to bring it down for is I felt like, even though we had that beautiful artwork and we had a really kind of interesting kind of aspects going on, I felt like the story was almost rushed a little bit. I felt like it kind of it was just too quick. And I know sometimes you can't really help that. You know, like you're reading a comic and it's just all the way, you know, you've read it in like 5 minutes and you're like, wow, that was awesome. But also I want more of it. So for me, it's more of a case of not have, and then again, I will also say the pacing was necessary because it is a very quick situation that's going on. Like you're in I don't want to give anything away still, but you're in a situation where the pace does need to go at a clip. So it's difficult to get that balance to kind of feel like you're getting something out of it. And so that's why I'm going to bring it down just a little bit, just because I've sped through it so fast. But anyway, I thought it was great. Excited for the next issue. Pat, are you excited to get to this point? When are you aiming to, like,
you know, I guess I'll listen to the advice of others, and people could tell me, should I just skip ahead and then go back and start reading the other issues, or should I, you know, what's the best method to get caught up will be one question.
If anyone in the comments could let me know, I would say go back to like the beginning of this particular story arc. And I know that's difficult because it's like an ongoing pretty much. But I would say like you could probably get away with, the problem is there's been so much that's happened. That's the thing. So much has happened that you'll just be like, what the hell are these?
It's my brain is kind of a completist brain as well. And I don't want to read things out of order because then I'll remember them taking place out of order.
Right. Yeah. All right, just go from 155.5. You know you have to. But then again, the other thing is, Pat, there's no pressure to do this because obviously, like I said, I'll just be talking to Mark and Tim about this in more detail.
I'm getting caught up on like Marvel Transformers UK is what I'm currently on.
Mate, that is awesome. So a couple more things I want to mention about this particular issue. It's sold out. So there's going to be a second printing, and there's also another cover to come with that second printing. How many covers? I will be talking about this with Mark and hopefully Tim as well. They don't know yet, but I want to be doing this with them. But there are so many covers for this issue that it was getting to the point of almost Dead Game levels. In actual fact, it might have surpassed Dead Game. Do we know? Let us know in the comments, guys. How, like, there were like 50 covers for Dead Game, right? Or 20? That might be too many.
I have no idea.
I want to say Dead Game 1 had like, it might have been 25. There was a lot of covers. And I think, I'm not even sure, but this one felt like there were just as many. But anyway, I'm sure people have done the maths. Right, that's it for comics. Now, One thing I will say next up, Pat, is that we're going to have a little bit of a break now while Justin and I talk for about 3 minutes. I hope you don't mind.
That's fine.
And then you can go and do something else because Justin and I are not worth listening to. But we discovered during the reveal of some very cool Snake Eyes movie concept art, we discovered a very interesting thing that dates all the way back to 2021. And Pat actually has a lot to do with that. But we'll talk about that after we've listened to Justin and myself discuss it in some detail. I hope you're ready.
Right, Justin, this is the mind blower right now, and I don't think anyone's picked up on this yet. But if you cast your minds back to a Hasbro Brazilian investor day that kicked off, I want to say in like 2021, and basically during that investor event, there was a presentation to investors that was kind of hinting at a Snake Eyes themed animated series. And I wonder if people are kind of like caught on yet. But this particular image, I'm not even kidding. I'll read out the clip description. So this was basically someone, his tank had been to the investor event, seen the actual presentation, and described it to a T. And this is what they said. The clip was animated like what we usually see on a typical flashback scene. Moving characters to a static background akin to Mortal Kombat X endings could just be placeholder concept art, barely 2 seconds. Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow are fighting a couple of enemies. Both their designs are brand new and futuristic. And then we get this like grouping of like descriptions for each character. We'll start with the location here. Top of a building. Helipad ? Neon signboards can be seen in the city. 4th of July like fireworks, reminiscent of the intro of G.I. Joe the movie. Are you with me so far, Justin, on this one?
Yeah, I'm seeing some similarities here. Yeah, might just be coincidence. I don't know.
Snake Eyes. Snake Eyes looks a lot like a black Power Ranger, wears bladed gauntlets like classified series Storm Shadow art, most popularly known as Batman gauntlets. Silver visor. No weapon, just a badass kick. That they've just described exactly what Snake Eyes is doing right there in this image. Storm Shadow looks a lot like Marvel character Crossbones. White high collar jacket, no sleeves. Like Snake Eyes, wears the same gauntlets. Dual wielding 2 tang hooked katanas. Again, an almost exact description of what Storm Shadow is doing in this. Now, this is where it like just locks it into place for me. Enemies, 2 males, 1 bare chested. Tattooed ? Wearing Japanese demon masks, check. Bare-chested enemy wields double-ended Japanese shogi hook. I mean, yeah.
Exactly what he's got.
And the other wields a straight sword while receiving a knee kick to the chest from Snake Eyes. Isn't that incredible?
Yeah. There's almost no disputing this is exactly the shot that they're describing in that post. It's word for word, image for image. It's precisely what we're seeing here.
So effectively, this kind of like answers that question as to what they saw during that event. I think a lot of people thought it was concept art for the animation. What it actually turned out to be was concept art for the film used for like a pitch, I would say, for an animated series.
Cool. So yeah, this is something that Justin and I talked about on the movie news burst. I thought if you hadn't seen it, there you go. That was us talking about that particular piece of concept art. So Volta posted this concept art about, I don't know, like it was in the week at some point, and they hadn't been able to kind of release it for up until that point. So when we kind of saw it, we kind of going through all the images. Pat just happened to mention in the message board that we were on at the time. He just said, does that one remind you of something that happened in, what was that thing that happened in Brazil? That thing, whatever it was. And that just like lit up in my brain. And I'm like, oh my God, I don't think I've run any quicker to his tank in my entire life mentally. And I went to the his tank page and I searched for that Brazil license. Well, it's a licensing expo, not an investor day, as I mentioned in the video. And yeah, lo and behold, I mean, it's crazy, isn't it, Pat? Like, absolutely insane that this is the artwork that they were discussed, that they'd seen at that licensing expo.
Yeah, the thing that really stuck out in my head is the spikes on Batman's gauntlets are so signature Batman to me that it feels out of place to see them on another character.
Yeah.
It also doesn't feel, to me at least, like a great idea to put them on Snake Eyes, because of it just kind of feels like maybe Snake Eyes is a follower rather than a character of his own. Like I could see a lot of people, younger audiences confusing Snake Eyes as being a Batman ripoff, which is not the case at all. But with those gauntlets, I could see how people would say that. So whenever you brought that up, I think in one of our earlier episodes, that probably was before we were doing the live, it stuck in my head for that reason. And so whenever these pictures showed up, I was like, hey, wait a minute. Are gauntlets, these two things related?
Brazil.
I wasn't actually even thinking that this was
the
footage that they were looking at. I was thinking that that this was put out there quietly to everybody working on the same creative stuff that should eventually come out, and that maybe this resulted in the Snake Eyes movie, and another branch was working on something animated. But now I'm really glad that you went back and got all those details and matched them up perfectly, so that I can know that I didn't really miss anything. We've now seen everything.
Absolutely. I mean, like they said that there was a clip. It was barely 2 seconds. I mean, perfect for something as simple as this.
Yeah.
Like moving characters to a static background akin to Mortal Kombat X ending. So what I could have imagined them doing was doing that thing where they isolate the character images on screen, like kind of cut them out Photoshop style, and just have the background like warp a little bit as they move forward or move like very slowly, or I could see them doing that with it basically. But Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow fighting a couple of enemies, both their designs are brand new and futuristic, and then boom, we get effectively an exact description of what is happening. What I'll also probably say is that a lot of people are talking about the female character on the left here and asking, is it Jinx? Possibly. I think at the concept stage, Akiko was already, a character in the script, so it was probably, by direction Akiko to the concept artist. But anyway, I would say if I had to guess, it's probably Akiko. And what I would imagine is they would have cut that off on the left-hand side, and you wouldn't have seen that. For the particular presentation, and you would have just seen the enemy on the left. Sorry, the one with the demon mask and the double-ended shogi hooks, Storm Shadow, Snake Eyes, and the other guy getting kicked off the panel on the other side. So I think it just makes a lot of sense. You've got the fireworks, you've got the rooftop, you've got the neon signs, you've got everything they're talking about is absolutely on point. Marvel character Crossbones, 100%. He gives off that vibe. Storm Shadow got the white high collar jacket, no sleeves. He's got the gauntlets, and he's wielding 2 tanged hooked katanas. And when I first read that, I'm like, oh, maybe they're not tang hooked. They are tang hooked. Look at the end of the blade. Like, there is a tang on the end of that blade. Like, it is nuts, man, how specific that is. For that particular description, crazy specific. Snake Eyes looks a lot like a Black Power Ranger. Check. Wears bladed gauntlets like Classified Series Storm Shadow art. Check. Silver visor. And when I read that, I was like, oh, maybe he's not wearing. No, he's got a silver visor as well. I'm like, holy crap! It is literally everything. Check. No weapon, just a badass kick. And then obviously the enemies. This is what locks it in 100%. 2 males, 1 bare-chested, tattooed ? Yes, there's tattooed and he's bare-chested. The bare-chested enemy wields double-ended Japanese shogi hook. That is too specific. Far too specific, isn't it? To not get exactly right.
It is. That really drives home the point that this is exactly what they were looking at. But the thing that I don't see in here is the talk that I also was bringing up, that is that the head sculpt. I mean, I have to theorize and think that it is the head sculpt that ended up in the Blue Ninjas set.
Oh, yes, yes.
There's another image, and that's what I was on my phone looking for. Here, there's another image that where Snake Eyes is taking off with the stone, where it's very clear that he's being chased by somebody wearing that mask. Was
well. Do you want the answer then? Because
sure.
So basically, I messaged Lenny before when we first got the concept art, and I actually asked him, "Were you aware of this concept art?" And he's like, "Oh wow, I haven't seen that for however many years." He said they utilized their designs from the classified design catalog, as it were, for materials. So they utilized Lenny, and I think I can't remember the other. There's another person involved with that. Yeah, they utilized the designs of the Blue Ninja masks and everything for the concept art. So it was concept art being utilizing the classified stuff, as opposed to classified being influenced by any concepts, if that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah, that does make sense. So it's just nice to see those connections happen and to get a little bit more glimpse behind the scenes.
Absolutely. It's really cool. So I was really excited, really, just to and also to thank Pat for putting the blooming thing in my head in the first place, because Gauntlets Brazil, I was just like, yes, you're totally right. And I don't even know what happened when I think I just scrolled through and saw this image and just thought, oh my God, were they describing this? Because I couldn't remember all the details off the top of my head. And then it's when you go back and you check the HisTank page and you go and look at it and you start reading it and you go, everything just explodes at once. And you're just like, oh my goodness. So yeah, I think I was way more excited about finding this than anybody else that watched the video or I spoke to in the message group. I think everyone's like, yeah, I think that's right. I think you're right, Chris. And I'm just like, guys, this is amazing. It's funny how these things, but I think for me, it was just like, there was like, if you imagine like there was a missing jigsaw piece and it just plopped right in there as soon as they were married up. And that did so much for my OCD. You have no idea. Anyway, very, very fun kind of little addition there. And also, if you haven't seen the movie news burst that Justin and I did, you can go check it out on the channel after this video. It all fits together, Diana. It does, absolutely. Right then, next up then, Pat, and we are traversing to the classified series and a little bit of Naugahyde news.
Naugahyde has been a name-only reveal ever since PulseCon a few months back now, and following that, we've seen his little cameo on the Metalhead packaging render, and now what looks to be his hat on eBay in a lot of classified and Star Wars pre-production pieces. Can't be too long until we see the Dreadnought's poacher and wild boar enthusiast. Pass me that rancid hog fat, would you, Pat?
Can you pass me that? Can you do that? And then I'll rub it all over my body. Anyway, yes, classified Naugahyde's hat has appeared, buddy. Does this excite you in any way, shape, or form?
I'm looking forward to seeing Naugahyde for sure. That little bit of a picture that we see is nice, but it's so blurry. And looking at the hat, it does have, in my opinion, a little bit more of a feel of the Dreadnought. What was that? A 5 or 7 pack? The one that came out later on after the 25th stuff, since it's a bit of a flatter hat. Yeah. And honestly, I kind of prefer that. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they come up with. The vintage Naugahyde figure is a great figure, but he is one of the later ones that has a very large head and face, and just the shape of the hat. I don't know. Maybe it's just not the type of hat that I prefer to look at. It could be that. But I like the way that this one looks for sure.
My only concern with the vintage, what's his name for the vintage figure, was the shin knife, because it was such a way that it would always bend the knife, like it wouldn't sit in there nicely and comfortable, and it looked a little bit too big for the sheath anyway. Kind of, it's like there's like some of the blades stuck out a little bit when he's put it in there. But that's the. I mean, I'm thinking like when it comes to getting the actual figure in hand, when we're seeing the classified figure, I've got a feeling they're just going to do a side sheath on the shin, like a secondary.
I would assume so too.
Yeah,
I mean, secondary they could do it on the front too. Anyway.
Yeah, I just don't know how. I don't know how comfortable it would be on the. But then again, they can design it that way and make it fit. And yeah, I guess they could do that. Just if it would feel weird doing it on the front unless it was really small.
It does stick up too much on the vintage figure. I loved what they were trying to accomplish at that time, and I don't really think I'd have. I think it would be neat to see them do that again, just because you're always getting knives on the sides of boots. So yeah, one that's maybe a little crooked, or like I like the one that was on SkyMate.
Yeah,
that was always really cool. There's a lot of different stuff they could do, but that wouldn't be a complaint of mine anyway. I mean, I guess maybe because it was so large, it kind of became an obvious part of the figure that maybe you would want to put it on the front again, but it won't bother me if they don't.
Do you think they'll do, here's a question for you. Do you think or what would you do in the design decision was given to you? Do you think they'll do a sheath on the small of the back on the vest, or do you think they'll do a knife sheath on the belt underneath the vest, but like at that kind of like angle, that kind of like sideways angle?
I think for the sake of pulling a knife out of a sheath, it would make more sense to be attached to your belt, because if it's flopping around with your vest, you know what I mean? It'd be a very that would just be a very weird spot for an actual knife. So I'm going to vote belt in that case.
That was definitely one of the details that I missed on the original figure, and not for many other reasons other than I always kept like their backpacks on, I think, most of the time. So I didn't see that there was a little knife detail on the back of his vest of the original figure. Nor did I ever notice that on his right boot, he's got bullet belts wrapped around his right boot. I never noticed that.
Yeah, I never noticed that.
Until we saw I think the two up at HasCon.
Yeah.
I might have even mentioned it to you when we were looking at it. But like, I remember like knowing at that point going, I didn't know he had those on his right boot. Like, because they're not painted on the vintage figure. It's like just one big black boot. So you miss that big time. But
I assume that those are just there for a sniper rifle, right? He can pull another bullet out. Yeah,
I guess so. Yeah, I guess so. It was just always interesting. I wonder. I just kind of wonder what they're going to put into the classified figure based on a lot of these little details. Like I wonder what tattoo. Are we going to get like numerous tattoos? Are we just going to get like one elaborate one? Are we going to get one that's almost identical to the vintage figure, which is the G.I. Joe logo with the cross through it? What are they going to do? Like, are they going to mess around with it? Are they going to try some things, do you think?
I think so. I think that in general, I am not a fan of tattoos, just in general. I don't love them. But the Dreadnoks, to me, that's part of their character, that they should have tattoos. I think that in the style of the vintage figure, you couldn't have too many tattoos because it starts to look too busy on those figures and the expenses there.
Right.
I think that Lenny seems to have more of a love for tattoos than I do. And I definitely see him. I anticipate that he would probably try to put more of them on the Dreadnoks, and I think that's kind of appropriate. Actually.
Yeah.
So, I'm really kind of eager to see. I kind of want that same old No G.I. Joe one on there somewhere.
Yeah.
But then I want to see more than that, because I would expect there to be more than that.
Yeah. I'd like to see a little Clyde with a heart around it. And can we talk about the Clyde thing quickly? Because I did some research on this, and what my outcome is thus. Wiki came first, from what I can tell, right? 2010 was the entry, right?
Okay.
Now, very shortly afterwards, we get Clyde Norhide in 2011. Now, I don't know if what happened there was they were struggling to get a different name for Norgahide because they didn't want the legal situation with the American Leather Company or Faux Leather Company. So they did. They wanted to change it. They may have looked and done some research on to see if there were any names associated with the character. Found the wiki and utilized that Clyde that was thrown in there on the wiki, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's what happened, but that's the order of operations in the very least. Then in 2014, we get the use of Clyde in the Battlegrounds cards for the game. So there's Norgahide and there's a Norgahide and Clyde card, and the blurb is almost is word for word what's written on the wiki page. So it's like I feel like they just got that from the wiki page and put it on the card. But who's to say that that wasn't preempted by the people developing these things, or like the figure, for example? Do you know what I mean? Like maybe they were preempting that and they put it on the wiki almost to kind of like save it. I don't know. What I mean, what's your thoughts at this point before I move on?
I think maybe it's a fact lost to time.
Yeah,
it could be something was planned that I didn't hear about, and
which is doubtful.
Or didn't pay attention to. No, it's very, very likely. If it's something that's in the later comics, I may have missed it. I've read 1 through 155 a few times.
There you go. There's another bit of information we can throw in there. The first use of Clyde in the comics was Tom Scioli with the Transformers G.I. Joe crossover.
Okay.
And they refer to the boar in that particular comic as Clyde. I think Mutt calls him Clyde outright when he's talking to him. So basically that was 2015, I want to say, because it was the second series of Transformers G.I. Joe. It wasn't the first one. I've done a lot of research on this.
Well, would it be a Dreadnought thing to name your pet after yourself? Maybe he feels that close to his boar.
100%.
Clyde Jr.
But this is the thing, right? You never see it anywhere else. That was the kind of order of operations. But you've got like 3 very official places: Clyde Norgahide 2011 figure, not the boar. Clyde Norgahide and Clyde on the Battlegrounds cards, and then Tom Scioli calling him Clyde. So like that's 3 pretty official places to have Clyde now. So for me, yeah, like you have to call him Clyde from now on. Like it's locked into the
Which
content.
one? The human or
both?
Or both? They're both Clyde.
Clyde Hyde has got to be his name, and Clyde has got to be the boar's name.
Okay.
What? Yeah. So anyway, I just thought that was an interesting thing to kind of really dig into and try and work out what actually happened. I have not found anything pre-2010, and a lot of people that have been like throwing me messages and stuff, they also haven't. So yeah, interesting. But it's one of those things, isn't it? It's where I think you mentioned it last week, where you said something about, or you mentioned it to me in confidence, I can't remember, but you mentioned something along the lines of, is this was it a Fonz scenario? I can't remember what it was again. I think it was. Oh
yeah, Henry Winkler and Street Sharks.
That was it. Henry Winkler, Street Sharks, the fake fact scenario, right?
Yeah. Somebody posted that intentionally to see what would happen, and it did get repeated across the internet, and is in fact still repeated. And people ask Henry Winkler about it occasionally, and he was not in Street Sharks.
I love that.
Or at least that's what I'm told. I haven't actually watched Street Sharks myself to make sure. So maybe this is like a double play on me right now.
I don't think anyone has watched Street Sharks to find out, though. That's the problem. I'm just kidding. I love Street Sharks. But no, what I will kind of say to that is this does feel to me like someone put it in the wiki, maybe like as an in-joke, because I know Clyde, I've read somewhere that Clyde was the name for a warthog in, I want to say, the Land Before Time TV series, but I couldn't find the episode. And I found the episode that they claim that Clyde the warthog is in, but I can't find Clyde the warthog in that episode. I watched the whole episode to try and find it.
It also wouldn't surprise me if somebody was just trying to fill out lists of things, as we were doing back in the early days of the internet, whenever putting pictures of anything up was difficult. And somebody made a picture or a list of all the Dreadnoks, and it had their own embellishments of their universe, and that has survived. It's possible.
Are you blaming Justin Bell's Dio stories for this?
Sure.
Shout out to Justin Bell and his Dire Stories. He's not going to watch this episode. He just turns up, does this thing, and buggers off. He doesn't care. He's a hateful human being. I'm just kidding. Justin's great. Yeah, like the movie Shazam thing, Diana. Absolutely. Charlotte likes the name Albert M. Hyde. I like that as well.
Yeah, Albert Hyde would work.
Let's make that stick.
Clyde.
Is this part of the Renegade Games studio stuff, Chris? No. This is Classified and Black Series, what we're looking at the moment. So just to be clear, let's go through all of these parts as well, Pat, while we're here.
And then
this
Justin
is quite
Hollis
interesting.
asked a good question. That's our segue right there.
Who did what?
Justin Hollis.
Oh, is that... There you go. Thank you, Justin. Is that helmet the Ferret Driver's helmet? Yes, it is. It's part of the Ferret Driver's helmet. The Ferret Scout, as it's known officially. Obviously, it's missing the top part, which locks into the top part. I think it's going to be glued together. I guess it's going to be two pieces glued together. I don't think they're going to come apart easily. But we'll find out when the figure
That'd
gets...
be a good way of making it, because often, you know, that part in real life is a separate piece.
Yep.
And so if they make them separate pieces in the future, they could make them different colors, perhaps.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'd also suggest you get that kind of that essence of depth as well.
Yeah.
That you don't like if you do like a molded thing and you can't cut right into like the right inside there, you can't really get in there. It kind of can look a little soft sometimes. And by having those two separate pieces, you really get that definition of two different elements kind of competing. Yep. So that should answer the question. That is the Ferret Scout helmet, or some of it. We've also got Big Ben's head. We've got the steel core helmet that comes with clutch, Mutt's vest, the Uzi that has appeared in the line already, but we were thinking might also be a precursor to an Iron Grenadiers version, because it's interesting these parts come out when they do, and it wouldn't surprise me knowing that the Iron Grenadiers is around the corner. Would you agree with that, Pat?
Yeah, you mentioned that, and I thought that was a really good shout out. That makes a lot of sense to me, that would be used in that capacity. And then that big long rifle, I do think that it's funny that it's a Star Wars rifle. And doesn't it kind of look like the vintage Kenner blue that was used on some of the old Star Wars history?
Do you think they did that on purpose?
Who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, there might be someone there working there, just like, just use this,
right,
just for my benefit. Yeah,
right.
Yeah, that's really cool. But yeah, I definitely think we're looking at a, maybe like a precursor to an Iron Grenadiers inclusion as well.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's definitely a Uzi we've seen before. Ferret Scout, why not Viper Scout? Says Viper Scout. Sorry, that's genius. Viper Scout says Ferret Scout. Why not Viper Scout? That's just genius. I just call it Viper Scout anyway, Viper Scout, and then we'll just get everyone confused. Do you know what? I didn't even notice, Charlotte, that Albert M is obviously Albert M Pine. You were getting, that's where the joke was.
Oh,
Alpine.
Yeah, I didn't get that either.
That was a very on the nose code name, wasn't it? File name. As was Stanley R. Perlmutter as well.
Yeah.
I did find that funny, but after a while you kind of go, you what, mate?
Skip Stone.
Oh my, Skipper Stone.
Yeah.
That's Cutter, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, because he glides across water, Skip Stone.
Unbelievable. Yeah, and he's even got A as a middle initial.
That made
it. Yeah, genuinely.
I remember that.
Skip A Stone. Oh, terrible. Charlotte says my humor is pretty highbrow. Yes, it is. Like all of ours is. Yeah, big time. Clyde with Norgahide, is he in the Renegade games? I don't understand that question, David. Sorry. Are you saying he's Clyde, Norgahide and Clyde in the Renegade games? Because if that's the case, that's well after the time period, as it were. So yeah, they would probably be taking from the official, what is official sort of now that Clyde is the name. But that's cool. I wasn't aware if they are in the Renegade games. That's really cool. Anyway, Skip was also Skip was in the Palatoy. Yeah, he was in the Palatoy Action Force line. Skip, He was the red beret kind of camo Z-Force dude, figure 6-pack. So yeah, in fact, he was he was literally not the Z-Force like top of the tree, but he was he was like the Duke of Z-Force basically. Anyway, right, yeah, there you go. So I think that's everything for Naugahyde. Did I do a zoomy close up? I don't think I did I, Pat?
No.
Okay, good. I'll tell you one last thing before we go. I am definitely hoping that they throw in the animal print on the hat around where you've got the kind of teeth on the band of the hat.
Right. Well, there's a lot of animal print lost from what we saw in the 2-up to the final figure.
Yeah, on the armband as well. Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. So yeah, that's something I hope they kind of they throw in there. That'd be really awesome. Anyway, that's enough of Naugahyde. Go check out my Let's Talk Classified Naugahyde video as well. It's brilliant. Was he also in Adventure Team, Skip? That's cool. I didn't know the Adventure Team had a Skip. Interesting. We're probably gonna have to get a Skip for when we do renovations on our house. Anyway, that's by the by. Let's get on with the news, and I think this is the final bit. Yeah, it's the Super 7 updates coming at you.
Unfortunately, the Cobra mothership has been almost completely stationary this week, with only a few backers since we last gave you an update. Super 7 did send out an email showing the absolutely massive size compared to a human, but that's about it for now. As well as a stalled campaign, images of the next Target exclusive reaction Baroness emerged, showing what looks like a blue Deke deco, and might hint at the coming waves of figures that Brian told us would be revealed later this year.
Yeah, okay, so little bit kind of concerning on the old mothership, would you say, Pat, at the moment? Kind of stalling on 1435, I'd say now.
Yeah, I'm, hopeful for them. I'm hopeful to have one, but it's not looking good.
Yeah, I have to agree. It's stalled to the point now where, like, at this point, you'd at least, I would say, have to be about halfway there to even kind of like contemplate that spike towards the end of the campaign. Because what I think can sometimes happen with these is that, yes, you might get a spike at the end, but that only really works if the excitement for it to be a possibility is there. And, obviously, with when you're at the point where it's like 1435, we are way off 4K. And, and like, I was hoping, like, we'd be talking right now, I was hoping we'd be at 2K already, or at least 1.8 or 1.9 or something like that. So the fact that we're kind of like much further away from that, I have to say that I'm going to have to say that I'm not fully 100% confident it's going to make it.
Yeah, I don't really know how deals with other distribution go. Like, there's always just the question that because sometimes you see some of these crowdfunded things end up on a retailer's website after the fact.
Yeah.
And that's fine. Do what you can to make your project happen. I don't know, though, if they have any deals like that are going to happen, or if those come through, or if they will get added. If they do, are they going to use that as momentum? I don't know. Like, I really would like to see this, since it's always every single crowdfund is that inverted. Well, I guess I should start this way. The inverted bell curve of sales, that you're going to have almost half at the beginning and almost half at the end, and just some sales in the middle. At this point, I think that we should be nearing the halfway point if this is going to happen, or at it, and it's just not there, and that's concerning.
Yeah, I have to say, like, as cool as it is, and I think it would be an amazing piece. It's just the cost and all that kind of stuff. It does play into it, and also we're in a period of time at the moment where, if you're a Joe fan, you have got so much to kind of like to buy, to consume, to enjoy, that it's difficult to just throw in how much, like $600.
Yeah.
At the end of the day,
plus
like
the add-ons.
Plus the add-ons,
you're looking more, I think, somewhere north of 800 if you want the ship and the two, because they're the $275 packs of figures.
Yeah.
There's the 5 POA ones that come with backpacks,
Yeah.
And then the O-ring ones.
O-ring ones.
Don't. And I don't know, since those are listed as an add-on, are they making? I assume they're making those if the mothership doesn't fund. Like, are those still happening? I'm a little confused on that.
I don't think that. I'm not sure. I think the whole campaign. I don't think you'd see anything from the whole campaign. Honestly, I could see them. I can see them doing O-ring in the future, past it. But I'm not sure how likely we'll see the things that are in this campaign going forward.
And they're listed as an add-on, but you can check out with just those. So do you get them? Like, if it does fund,
I thought it was just for backers.
You can just check out with them by themselves.
That's weird.
So I don't know.
That's interesting. I wasn't aware of that. When I spoke to Brian, I'm sure he said to me that they were for backers, and when you get on the thing, but I could be wrong. That's interesting if you can get them. I think there's obviously a number of factors here. The price for one thing, no matter what it is expensive, and I'm like, that's how much it is like to create for them as a company. Like, this thing is huge. It's the tooling costs alone are phenomenal. If you've done any sort of like work in the toy industry at any level, you'll know that tooling is one of the banes of existence in terms of cost. It is absolutely phenomenally high for tooling costs, and that is effectively what you. I mean, look at the size of the second thing. That, like, you know, there's a part on that pretty much is the size of it. Do you know what I mean? If you break it all down into different parts, there is a main part that is effectively the width and and length of that thing.
Yeah, like a single part that's going to have to be tooled at that large of a size. That is enormous. That's going to be a large thing to manufacture. There's not even a ton of stuff in the vintage G.I. Joe line whenever it was at full speed that is that size. Like, there are things.
Yeah.
There's just not a ton of things.
They broke the flag deck down quite well, didn't they? But it was still,
and I think they also didn't have, like, while the G.I. Joe line was made in Rhode Island at that time, that was another company that was making the deck for them. I think it was like a swimming pool company. I think.
Why does that not make, that does not surprise me at all.
Like a company that makes like sandboxes and kiddie pools and things like that. I think that's who made the deck of the flag, because, you know, they talked about shipping them. Alan Hassenfeld talked about the disaster of there being a wreck and them being all over the place. But yeah, things that large have always been a challenge to have manufactured, even whenever the line was running at full speed. So this is kind of a big deal.
Yeah. And also, you've got to take into consideration the classified series and how many figures we're getting at the moment in that, like, in this kind of crunch of the year. So, like, I just, you know, you kind of look at it and you go, like, people just don't have that disposable income. It's just like, even at the peak, this would have been this, you know, the peak of people's disposable income, this would have been difficult to reach, I think. But anyway, that's that. We'll keep you updated, and we'll check on it next week as well. We'll even try and get Brian on again and have a chat with him and see how he feels about the whole situation. We'll hopefully get that before the end of the actual campaign, which I believe it's like mid-December, 11th of December, I want to say. But anyway, yes, that is that. Next up, then, Baroness appeared. This image appeared of a Reaction Target exclusive Baroness, and some interesting little elements to discuss here, Pat. Mm-hmm. What hits you first looking at this figure?
Well, there's two big things that I want to be sure to mention. Probably the thing that hit me first, though, is what I said, is that looks like an Annihilator gun. And so I was wondering if we could be seeing some more stuff from, like, Operation Dragonfire, is what my thought was. Because as far as Deke Baroness goes, that's mainly where she appears, right?
100%. That is the Deke Baroness deco, 1,000,000,000,000%.
Well, that's the other thing I wanted to bring up, because Philip's in here somewhere, I think, and he always reminds me that the colors that Deke chose, they didn't just make them up.
Yeah.
They were referencing the Marvel Comics G.I. Joe Order of Battle.
Order of Battle, yeah.
And so whenever you say things like the Deke Zorana, well, it's kind of Order of Battle Zorana.
Deke who, sorry?
What?
Deke who? Deke who?
Zorana?
You don't think you're saying it correctly. I believe it's Zorana.
I was waiting for you to do it. I kept on cueing you, and you're like,
I was hoping.
I was saying it wrong.
I was hoping you would say it.
Oh,
I was hoping you'd just try it.
No,
okay.
You're the one that does that. So I was waiting for you to do it.
I didn't know it was you. Yeah. Anyway, we know the thing.
I thought you were teeing yourself up for the longest time.
Can I just say as well? Shout out to Diana Davis for sneaking in an ever so slight Easter egg for me saying that in every episode for the past however many years we've been doing this now. If you go and check out issue 301, in the back there are a bunch of character profiles. See if you can notice something in one of those character profiles, and if you can, have a lol, because Diana had a lot to do with that. Thank you, Diana. I'm just trying to get like silly little things in all different aspects of the G.I. Joe brand right now. One of them is my name. That was the best one, getting that in there. But then getting a cheeky reference that I keep constantly utilizing is also awesome. So thanks for that, Diana. Brilliant stuff. But yes, I'm going to go out and say Deke Baroness, Pat, because as much as I'm sure Super 7 are aware of that fact as well, they're probably looking at it from a let's look at the Deke cartoon kind of scenario.
I think they definitely are. I just kind of wanted to mention that. And even if you look at the Order of Battle Baroness, it is one of those ones where there's blue, but it looks like it's that comic book version of they're trying to get across black.
Right.
So they color her with blue highlights. And
yeah.
I think Deke took that literally. And so now this is Deke Baroness. And, I'm glad she doesn't come with a bag of trash, or whatever that is. That she comes with the Annihilator gun instead. But it does make me wonder what else we may be getting. I know that in the past, Brian Flynn has said that if they were going to do G.I. Joe the movie, they would want to build up to that.
Yeah.
And I kind of wonder if, doing a couple of Deke waves would be a nice way of doing a test run for things themed.
Sorry, you said Deke waves, and it sounds like you're waving with your Deke. Sorry, I couldn't help myself. One thing I do want to mention here, though, as well, that some people may not know or may not have noticed, but the little secondary holster for her pistol there, you can see it right there. You can also see it on the character model as well, sitting across her waist. So they've definitely taken as many different, points from the cartoon to this particular figure, I think. And that is a great point about the Annihilator weapon, mate. That is so cool. So do you think we're going to see more Deke then in the next few waves of reaction?
Yeah, the holster, by the way, also in the Order of Battle issue.
Oh, okay, cool.
And yeah, no, I think that this is like if they're going to do a Target exclusive of Baroness, sure, they could be doing it like we got the Fun School Snake Eyes, and then we didn't get a whole Fun School wave, But I kind of don't think that's the case here. I'm going to guess that we are going to get more Deke.
Who is your top want from the Deke cartoon?
I think Serpentor would be really cool.
Good shout.
My mind's right now in Operation Dragonfire, but there's a lot of fun things that we could get. We could get hopefully Evie. But you got to give a shout out to Metalhead's grandmother. I mean, that has to be in there, right?
Granny Dearest, absolutely.
I don't think that would sell very well at Target, though.
It wouldn't sell well anywhere. It's funny that's one of the episodes I struggle to watch, but would really want the figure. What is wrong with me? Yeah, that's hilarious. The bag has the Royal Crown jewels in it, Pat. I'll have you know. Thank you, Figure Six Pack. Yeah, that was the episode.
Okay, so it wasn't trash. I couldn't.
No, they stole. Well, kind of is. They stole they kidnapped the Queen in it. But yeah, effectively, you were right the first time, buddy. Amazing. So anyway, yes, Deke. I'm going to say my biggest one from the Deke cartoon is Zorana. I didn't know it was you. It's Zorana. And I would say as well, I think Lady J's a good shout because she's got that kind of different green vibe going on.
Yeah.
Scarlet is a completely kind of different kind of color palette. I mean, same vibe, but slightly different tones in the colors chosen. But Zorana has got the most awesome deco in that show. It's just beautiful.
It is really nice.
Pink.
Yeah.
It's just great.
I still honestly, I just kind of want the vintage figure in those colors though. That's really, I mean, I still, as much as I like what they're doing, I still just want the old sculpt O-ring figure in Deke colors.
That'd have been a nice touch, wouldn't it? In the Soundwave Thunder Machine.
Yes.
That would have been a really cool idea.
I'm sure there would have been people confused and upset, but
like they were with Ravage, by the way.
What?
Like people were upset with the color of Ravage in that set, by the way.
I don't even know if I've seen people upset about the color of Ravage.
I saw a bunch of comments about it. Why is it not black? And I was just like, well, you know, it's specifically homaging something, and they've thrown it in there to make it a little bit different to what we usually get. But you know, you're never gonna get everyone liking the same thing at the same time. So that's totally fair.
That is absolutely true. Yeah.
So I'm not gonna, you know, of course people are gonna like one and not the other. It's gonna happen. It's totally fine. Yeah. So yeah, that's all the Super 7 news. Right, Pat. I believe that's everything now. I think we're finished. I think
that is everything. Yes,
we're finished. Absolutely
we're
finished. Yep. I say that, but we're not. Before everyone disappears and runs away, we've got some things to talk about in the shout out. So let's do that next.
Have you tried Hoarder yet? No? Well, you need to. If you have a collection of things and want to create a fun and easy way of organising it and of course showing it off, then get involved. You can post items and build collections, and you can drop a status like getting a fun delivery or seeing some awesome related stuff on your travels. Build your collections with Hoarder. The app is free to download on Google Play and the App Store, so what are you waiting for? Get to hoarding.
Yeah, do it. Now, shout outs. Pat, what are they?
Shout out as always to Philip. I have been busy editing this week, so apologies to him that I'm not done yet. But you know, I've got my nose to the grindstone. I got a lot of irons in the fire, a lot of things on the burners, all the various ways that I can express that I'm busy. But
you got a lot of iron grenadiers in the burnouts, a lot of charbrawls in the barbecues, that kind of stuff, right? Yeah, cool. A lot of ice cream soldiers and some other stuff. What's coming?
What's coming?
Yeah,
I hopefully soon a talking point for articulated points that.
Oh, you know, is it going to be a complete surprise for everybody?
Well, yes, it'll be a surprise to me, depending on what we get done. So that's why I'm not going to tell you what it's going to be, because you know we've worked on a few things, and it's going to be one of those.
Brilliant! I can't wait. Right, so that's Phil. Next up, shout out to me and Kate, and Phoebes. We bought a house. We've got a house. How crazy is that?
Congratulations. Yeah.
Thank you. That's the back of our house.
It's a big step. Yes.
Well,
not a step to the house. It's a big move in life.
That is a big step behind us. That's the back of our house. It's amazing. It's gorgeous. We're very, very excited. Can't wait to move in.
I was just going to say, if you moved in.
Yeah, Monday we move in properly. But we've been slowly shifting stuff over since we closed earlier in the week. So yeah, that's very, very excited. Can't wait. And we're going to have a new Full Force HQ. Very excited. And just wanted to throw that in. Shout out to my lovely wife, Kate, and the little Phoebes. We can't wait. Phoebes loves it. She loves the yard. It's a massive yard. So much fun.
That's nice.
Yeah, she gets all excited when we go over there, and she just walks around the house, checking everything. She loves the place. So very happy that she likes it. And the neighbors are really nice as well, which is fantastic. So can't wait for all that jazz. And then being a homeowner now going forward, never going to have any free time or money ever again, I believe, is the what happens with that situation. But anyway, Massive shout out. Awesome, brilliant, cool, fantastic. Moving on. And also shout out to the US and the UK family, of course, as always. To Brian Sauer for doing our amazing graphics. And I don't think I've got any cold slither stuff. Not cold slither, some assembly required stuff. But there is one little element I suppose we can talk about with cold
beans, yeah. The next picture.
The Lost Demo CD, which is available on the link in the description, which is actually in there, I think. But you can always find it on the Codename Iowa Facebook page. On any of the, we've made posts about it as well. Effectively on there is a track that I produced for Word Burglar. So we did another track together. Very excited to work with him again. And as you can imagine, it is cold slither related. Go check it out. Have you heard it, Pat?
It's right behind me here.
There it is. And he's wearing the t-shirt as well.
And I'm wearing the t-shirt. Yeah, I did listen to it. And
hated it.
I realized that I had a big white blank spot behind my head when we were doing the last episode. So I needed to put something up in there, and that's what's there.
Good work. Oh, Charlotte says that's currently in the player in my truck. It's ridiculous and a lot of fun. Thank you very much, Charlotte. Appreciate that. Robert Page loves Codename Iowa stuff. Yeah, same. Absolutely. Right. Yeah, that's all that to be done, I think. Next up, shout out to Skeletron, who revealed this wonderful Alex Hawley artwork for the Jaya Viper figure, and of course the production sample of the figure in package as well. Really cool to get the Gary goggles head sculpt going on here as well, Pat, as well. I mean, lots of levels to how cool this is.
For sure. I actually, whenever that was shown, I went back to my email to make sure that I'd ordered 2 of those. Yeah.
And you did, I hope.
I did. Yeah. I ordered 2 of the Gary of this one, and then there's a 6-inch one as well. And I have 2 of both coming.
Awesome. So yeah, this is the 4-inch figure, as it's quite right to point out. And it's the carded sample. Very awesome stuff. Excited to see even more stuff from Skeletron. Charlotte says Skeletron folks are awesome. Got to meet them at Assembly Required as well. They are awesome. It's a great team.
Yeah, they had this figure there, so I got to see it in person. It's amazing. It looks really good.
Yeah, I'm really impressed with what they're doing. And I also got another cheeky little image sent the other day, which is top secret. But yeah, I'm very excited to see what's happening with Skeletron and the RoboSkull Mark II and all of the amazing figures that are going to come with it. My God, that is one hell of a campaign. Yeah, so, and apparently still basically in the same situation delivery-wise that they gave us that update a while back on. So they're sticking to that particular time frame at the current, as it is at the moment. So yeah, really excited to see this coming to fruition. Also, as I said before, Soundwave Dreadnought Thunder Machine with Zartan and Zarana are now shipping, and there you can see the blue Ravage. And the Zarana that Pat doesn't want, he wants the Deke one.
I'm really wondering about that Zartan though. If you look at it, they've painted the chest. I'm thinking that I wonder if that chest plate comes off, because really what would be the point if they know that they're never going to use that tooling to make color change flesh. Right. What would be the point in having his vest come off? So you might as well make it part of it, but then you're going to need to color it.
Maybe both parts come apart and it's like I don't know. You never know. You could be naked under that.
Yeah, that's true.
I'll ask BMAC and see what he says. So
I'll just wait and get it in the mail.
Yeah, and we'll see the images very shortly as well, I imagine. Yeah. Another thing, the 788 Fire Team has been delayed to December the 15th for a few people. So I think that's pretty much across the board, it looks like. Yeah, just be aware of that and check for emails if you've pre-ordered on that particular set, just so you know that's happened. Also, massive shout out to Kickley, who's been posting some gorgeous G.I. Joe artwork. Here's another one that popped up this week, and that's the Tomahawk with leather neck, mainframe, beachhead, and I think a generic green shirt of some description there. Pat, would you say? I
would assume, yeah, that makes sense.
But very awesome. Looks great. Love this. I love this particular image and this one as well. How good is this, mate?
Yeah, this one's a lot of fun. Maybe sci-fi may be a little overpowered in this image, but it doesn't matter because the fun of what's going on in this, it's just a very dynamic picture. I love it.
My thought process, my narrative here is that he started the laser firing very early on in the process, and it's in the distance, and it's just heating up, and obviously focusing it on the Night Raven. As it gets closer and closer, it just starts to give, and then just gives right at the last minute. It just looks awesome. It's so much fun, like you say, and really just I just love what he does, and I think Diana's right here. I would also love a book of Joe art from Kickley. I think that would be really cool. Yeah, just specifically, that'd be fantastic. Cool. Okay, and that's one more thing. We're on Instagram now. Yay! It took us a while, but we are there, and we will be posting stuff, as often as we can. So, and we are also venturing into more social networks as well, believe it or not. So look for, I think next week we'll have an update on another addition to the family of social networks, which sucks for me because I have to keep producing content for all of it. Yeah.
Are you just busy cross-posting, or do you have something that handles all of that? Or no,
it's all me. Everything you see is all me, ladies and gentlemen. Yes. So I'm literally gonna have to start like friggin' hiring people to do this stuff, I think. And by hire, I mean to get them to do it for free. I'm just kidding, as if. No, it's not going to be Tinder Viper Scout, but that's hilarious. Full force. Swipe right, swipe left. I know which way to swipe. Anyway, go check it out. It's fun. The Full Force podcast. I mention it at the end of the video as well, but that's fun. Anyway, that's it for another stonking episode. Thank you to all our wonderful support, all of you wonderful double F'ers, for the patrons, for all of you guys in the comments. It's not that one either, Viper Scout. I'm not even saying that one out loud. It's Naked HD is the that's the next one we're doing. We've given in and we're going to just do Naked HD. Just kidding. He's right here and he's been here the whole time. Pat, thank you very much, dude, for joining me again, my man.
Thanks for having me on. As always, I really appreciate being on this. It's a lot of fun,
dude. Always. I mean, technically you're part of the furniture, so you have to be here. Otherwise, where's everyone going to sit? Nowhere, because you're part of the furniture. Anyway, have a great weekend. I'm going to be busy, but it's going to be fun anyway. I don't care. All the house stuff that happens, but I'm not going to
that'll be a fun. You're going to have a good week. It's going to be decisions and excitement. It's going to be a good week.
it's going to be work is what it's going to be, but I can't wait. Anyway, we've got lots more content coming for you as well. Just enjoy and soak it all in. Stay fresh, cheese bags, and after 3, you know the deal. Up 1, 2, 3.
Full force.
See you later.
Make sure you get involved with the discussion by liking, sharing and commenting on these videos, and as always you can keep up with the show after listening by following on X, formerly Twitter, @TheFullForce, liking the Facebook page, facebook.com/TheFullForce. We've also added a brand new Instagram, so check us out there as well, @TheFullForce Podcast, and if you would like to contact the show you can message us on any of those platforms with feedback and questions. We also have a Patreon page, so if you want to show your support for the show, see your name up in lights on these videos, or enjoy exclusive bonus content, then check out patreon.com/TheFullForce Podcast, or click on the link on any of the posts this podcast appears in. Full Force.